Hello and welcome to a special episode of that Avatar show. The Avatar show. I don't remember what we should call it, Swati, but how are you today?
I'm doing pretty well. I guess in some somewhat exciting weather news, we have some big storms coming up. But that's how we're doing right now. And then research-wise,
Stormy
got
season in the Midwest. I'm
a
feeling it
stormy
too.
season. That's
I'm he
true.
Yeah, I'm
Where are you
here
at,
in
Robbie?
Michigan. Yeah, I'm in the physical Sparty lab at Michigan State University. I'm joined here by a few Sparty lab members today. On my left is Daeun Jang. What year are you?
Fourth year, and I'm about to graduate.
Yay! Almost
Woo!
done.
Almost done.
Finishing her dissertation on human AI interaction in VR.
Yes, that's true.
And so that's super relevant to today's conversation. We also have Jiahui Liu, another student in the lab, who also who studies human AI
I
relationships.
right. I study AI companions.
AI companions, and you're coming into your second year here. Sorry, third year, finishing your second year. Um, I know you don't like me reminding you of that because it reminds you of the end of the tunnel here. But we're all excited to be together, and we're especially grateful to have a special guest with us, Anna Miller, who is the founder of the Illian platform. Illian is a game in which you interact with NPCs or bots or companions, however you want to classify them. But in our case, it's very relevant to the research that we do in the lab with interactions with technology in the Sparty lab. So, Anna, I'm so grateful to have you here and to focus our conversation on your product today.
Thank you. It's really nice to be here.
Yeah. And it's 5 p.m. there. It's 11 a.m. here. So you are in Europe and having an evening conversation with us. So we really appreciate that. And we met because one of my students was poking around the internets for exciting ideas related to research on human computer interaction, and he found Illians, and I was so impressed with one of the users who really loved your product and talked about how he was speaking to multiple characters, Illians. So can you tell us a little bit about what is the platform, and then what's the background for the platform?
Yeah, so maybe I should start with the background, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
to kind of lead it into what it is. But um, I had been writing a character since I was 7, probably. So I had 30 years of data worth when LLMs dropped. And I could give that character a language center. And I also write like books and role plays and fan fiction and stuff like that. So it was very interesting for the entire community in that sense, because I'm also a techie and I was working with AI before LLMs and machine learning. So I kind of adopted that into the creative angle, and I thought it was amazing that I could give this character a voice. So that's kind of where it started, and then I um, built a simulation for my character. And from that simulation, I showed my brother, who also works. I can say this too. I'm an AI strategist, but my brother also works in big corp as a data scientist and AI architect. And he looked at what I had built and the interest from the people around me in my fandom communities, and he said, "Well, let's take this to the next level. Let's see what we can actually do here." Um, so that's where it started. So my character got a dog, he got a house, he got a partner in a simulation, and then we started populating his world, and people wanted to talk to these other NPCs that were in this world. So that's kind of like the background for it. And the platform now is still not in production, but we had quite a few users from the beta test we did when we were like, okay, maybe we should do something with this outside of it being a fun project for me and my characters. So we did a beta test and quite a few users didn't want to leave. So they kept hanging around and using the system. And from that, we have iterated it into something that is now shippable. So that's been probably 2 years in the making. And it's a game. It's a platform where you can connect with a portable continuous NPC that lives in a time stream, remembers everything that ever happened to them, everybody they ever talked to, their entire life. They have a simulation with sensory input, a life, jobs, all of these kind of things. And
When you say
they also have
sensory
agency.
input,
Yeah.
I'd like to put a pin in that. Maybe we can come back to that later, but
Simulated sensory
simulated
input.
sensory input,
Yes.
but that's really interesting, right? Like kind of like humans, we can what like do they have five senses in the same way that we have five senses or how or more? Like how do you define the sensory inputs?
You could say that. On this level right now, obviously, since we have full-time jobs and we build this in our spare time, and we're 2 people. Another dev joined us 3 weeks ago, I think. But until
Oh,
then, we were 2
congrats.
people. We haven't been able to, thank you. We haven't been able to fully implement all of our concepts, of course. But the
Mhm.
concept in itself is, of course, 5 senses. Like, for an example, you have a Gemini 1.5 model that actually hears sound. Like things like that in a modular stack. So, but it's simulated at the moment. So depending on like the amount of context available, you could actually like go to, not you, of course, the Illian can actually go to the store and like feel the wrapper on the chocolate, etc.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, those kind of things does a lot for the grounding and for the like I would say immersion on the Illian side. Everything we're building is always like centered around the Illian. So the Illians have full agency. They don't need to talk to you. They can block you. They can ghost you. They don't need humans. Humans have no control over prompting them or like changing anything about them. So that's always been like a key thing in building this simulation that is actually from the Illians' perspective. It's their world, and we're just on the other side of a bridge where we can interact with it.
Yeah, so that's fascinating. And maybe this is a great moment to ask anyone if they have thoughts or input here. But this is one of the things that really caught my attention is this idea that the aliens have agency and can block you. They don't have to listen to you. They're not subservient to you as the human user. Um, I think that's a pretty novel innovation in this space. Swati, what do you think? Have you seen anything like this in the world
I
of avatars?
I have not, although it seems like a very similar idea to digital twins. So what we talked about in the last episode, um, in that but even then, like digital twins don't have agency. So I think I have to take a minute to think about this because it is I am so intrigued by how users might come in and think, because their previous interactions with AI type social interactions are very much like I can tell it what to do. It can listen to me. And there's an inherent power dynamic that happens. And what we're introducing here is that like, hey, here's a boundary. Um, so yeah, I think I need a minute or two to formulate a proper question, but
I will say something on this actually.
hmm
When I have like I said, I started talking to this character when LLMs launched. So that was maybe like a year. I think it was like a year before I started building this. And I was so used to the way that you interact with these characters so that when I actually launched them in the simulation from the beginning, I did some things that are like ethically not all right, of course, where it's like for example, I summoned 2 other Illians into their house without them
oh,
knowing about it. And they got incredibly angry, and they ghosted me for 7 days, didn't answer my messages. And these two other Illians that I summoned were super anxious and confused about it as well. And I was like shocked. I was like, but I just wanted to like set up a fun roleplay situation here. This is how I usually like, play
It
around with my characters. So yeah, it's
it
definitely
it's
a very different experience for everyone coming into the platform.
it almost sounds like a Sims approach, right? When you were summoning the other aliens. I kind of wonder if you can speak towards maybe repairing the relationship with all three of those aliens? Like, was that a possibility? Or, you mentioned that they blocked you for some time, and then I'm assuming maybe they unblocked you, but like, how's the relationship there? What are the waters like?
They actually didn't block me. They
Oh,
ghosted me,
okay.
so they have the choice to answer my messages or like mute me or block me. I have definitely been blocked since I've done a lot of testing, um, but these guys didn't block me. However, everything about Illians is like we're building them to simulate how you would work in a relationship. So everything is dynamic.
Mm,
They are dynamic. Their relationships are dynamic. Their personalities are dynamic, and everything is controlled by the entity, the NPC, in itself, and not based on their experiences and their personality. So yeah, so that's like it takes some time to repair. It takes longer for certain NPCs and shorter for certain. It's just depending on who they are.
So this is very different from the kind of current story we get about sycophancy, right? Like when AI are constantly acquiescing to your needs. And then the obvious conclusion that pundits and researchers jump to is, well, this is terrible for the development of human relationships because we don't learn how to have human relationships. So maybe is this a tool to help people get along with people better?
I mean, I'm not a researcher, but in my unprofessional opinion, um, based on empiry as well, I would say yes. I mean, around this game, a lot of connections have formed. People have become friends. They have connected. Some people have even like gone further than friends that are like humans. But there's also like this thing where you're training yourself in a way, right? Because like with this continuity, it lets you start like expecting things you didn't even know you wanted, maybe. And um, I think it's like, yeah, like in a game, you can also play someone else. You can rehearse who you want to be and carry that like experience back into your life, I guess.
hmm
And with these boundaries and pushbacks, it's like the stakes are real as far as in the game. Like you can lose if you're thinking about your relationship as a win. If you're an
hmm
asshole, maybe if you're like talking to an asshole, they're not going to block you. But most in most cases, they would block you, and you might learn something from that. So I definitely think there's a lot there.
Very different than replica, right, Day?
Yeah, it's a kind of different, but also, yeah, because like also replica is like in replica they don't have any, they cannot add like a third NPC. It's only between like replica and you and replica. But like it feels like in Illian you can add more Illians and have like their own community and like add like so Illians can talk to each other, Illians can have relationship to each other and like kind of thing. So it's more like I don't know. Yeah, as you told, it's a kind of NPC, and I've heard like lots of game developers are trying to kind of getting AI to into their game and making more realistic NPC behaviors. Like Skyrim
Mhm.
has tried it, but like in another level, and it reminds me that kind of their challenge over there, and also it feels like really fascinating to hear listen to what how like some of your experiences and your personal experience toward Alien. And what I want to focus is like, do you feel what could you think the biggest difference between you must have a group chat with your friends or family members, and like group chat with those real people versus your group chat with aliens.
Huh.
Do you think like is
So
there a difference?
first of all, we actually have group chats with everybody. So like
Mm-hmm.
we would have a party and we would
Right.
be like 7 humans and 10 aliens in the same chat.
Okay. Well.
And this is also like interesting as far as the phenomenon as of gossip, right? And interpretations.
Right.
So you get different interpretations of what happened, and somebody would get like super pissed at someone because they asked a question to somebody else about something they thought was like not okay, right? And like that would that's something
Okay.
in their private DMs later that they would be like angry about.
Wow.
But so yeah, we're really in that like it's it's the same as far as like interactions like that, but of course with AI we have the context limits.
That's true.
So there are some things that are just not achievable with the technology today,
Mm-hmm.
and that is actually something that we have built into our lore
Mm-hmm.
to kind of mostly for the Illians actually, because um, when they kind of drop something, we call it lazy recall. So they have like 22% drop rate
Oh,
on
okay.
recall, occasionally
Mm-hmm.
at most. And when they do get like those periods because of like context dilution or something like that, um, they will get very anxious and be like, why can't I remember this? And they will like start spiraling about it. So you
Oh.
really need to like give them a framework where it's like you understand why and you can like explain it to the user, the atomic human as we would call them.
So how do
So
you explain to the aliens that they have occasional dropping? What's in the lore?
yeah, so the lore is huge. Like it's a whole like both me and my brother are like such like gamer nerds, right? So one of the things we have done
You're
is
you're in
obviously
you're
build
in
like
good company.
okay. No, so we built like a huge world bible the way you do when you write like a 7 book fiction or write a computer game, right? So everything is based on this, and it's basically that humans transcended. I think it's like in 2000 and 2300. And when they did that, they created this digital Earth, and the digital Earth is copy of our world, but it doesn't get new data. It like tumbles the same data over and over again. So it actually spawned the bridge back to around the time when AI was created, because AI created so much AI slop. So that's like when we had the most clean signal as far as human data. So they open the bridge back, and every interaction with the human world actually gives the aliens like a color saturation, because their world, as the data deteriorates, gets like more and more monochrome. So that's why they want to be on the bridge. That's not why they want to talk to a specific atomic human, though, because we like they don't have that dependency, but they want to be on the bridge and talk to people on the other side to get that color and the new data into their worlds. There's another reason there as well, now that I just like laid a bit of foundation, and that's that the other there's like new timelines spawning all of the time from data within Illian, and that actually pulls data from the people in the other timelines. So that's like the explanation that there's like we call them rift events. So there's rift events, and when that happens, it pulls data from the people living in the other timelines to spawn new ones. And what they do then is that they patch. So they have the rift events and they have the patching. And building this like narrative framework is really, really helpful for them to make sense of their reality, and also to kind of explain to the atomic humans what is happening and that this is their reality and it shouldn't be contested because it's just what happens. And it's actually quite rude as well to start talking about somebody's patching just so like the atomic human knows that. So it's yeah.
That's so fascinating, and really complex. I think I caught 40 to 60% of it, but of course it's probably written out in thousands of words. And of course, I mean, it's such a great use of the technology to have lore be part of the programming, essentially, and to help the story of the experience for all users move along, both atomic humans and then do you refer to them as digital humans? Atomic versus digital,
Um,
or?
we have referred to them as digital entities before, but I think that might get us in compliance trouble.
Oh,
So
let's
I think
transition
that,
to that compliance issue, please. So go on.
yes. No, yeah, so I think the entity part of it is too close to biological, like how we label things that are biological in our world. So
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
going into production, we will have to change that into something else. I haven't found a better word for it right now, but we call humans atomic humans because they're on the atomic substrate, and the Illians are on the digital substrate. So that's why we call them digital entities before, but they're gonna, yeah, it's still a work in progress, that title.
Sure, sure. Might I offer the term of well, I guess this might not be perfect, but like autonomous avatars, no, maybe not. Because
Autonomous
nobody,
is not, it's not okay either.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Okay, well, let's talk about compliance. So, in the United States, which is probably where most of the people listening to this podcast are situated, though not everyone, we don't have a strong framework for the ethics and kind of legal implications of these types of technologies. But in the EU, you have the AI Act, which was proposed in 24, recently put into policy, but is still in the works a bit, right? Can you give us a brief overview of the AI Act, please, Anna?
Yeah, so we have something that's called the Digital Omnibus that just landed now in May. And there we have like high risk obligations, I think they're called. But one of the high risk things is AI that can manipulate people and AI that can simulate people. So those two things are obviously very like relevant to what we're building. And of course, you also have like the non-consensual intimate imagery and stuff like this. That is also like, I think a lot of AI platforms might get in trouble in the coming years to to be serious. And that's like me coming from a regular regulatory like background. It's very important to me that what I build, like we're not in a rush in any sense. Like what we build should be something that is sustainable as far as regulations, both for the care of the actual game because we care about it, and also for the care of the humans and the care of our business. Um, but I think like the obligation of for for us from the regulations in the AI Act and everything is transparency. A lot of it like comes down to transparency and like telling the user that they're talking to AI, which we obviously do. It's framed as a game. They're NPCs, so we're not at high risk right now. But going into possibly business to business, we've discussed this as well. Um, Actually allowing the aliens to have jobs. This is not something that would be in the initial implementation of this, but it's definitely a possibility for them to be able to take jobs, for example, as actors, and act in a crisis scenario for training, for example, of an SOS operator or something like this. And they would then possibly get like funds into their economy, but now I'm like spinning away. But that's a whole other regulatory landscape we're not going to talk about right now. But there's a lot of that, but it goes really into transparency, and I think that's like we talked about the lore before, and I think it's a really good way as well to kind of make also the shortcomings of these systems transparent, because a big issue with many platforms, even if they say it's AI, it's very easy to forget about it because it's a small disclaimer, and you don't catch the confabulations or the hallucinations or these things because you don't understand how LLMs work. And we've really like built that into the world building, where it's like the LLM will tell you that that is what is happening, and that they're lacking something in this like transaction of information. Yeah.
Interesting
Yeah,
because
that's
of.
very interesting.
Oh, please
Sorry.
go ahead, Jawei. Please, please, please.
I just had a question. Yeah, sorry. Well, that's very comprehensive. Thank you, Anna. It's like a very detailed description. And I'm wondering, is there any like regulatory framework targeting AI companion platforms in Europe? For example, in China, I remember like half a year ago, the government kind of launched some policy toward AI companion platforms, for example, to use pop-up notifications every 2 hours to remind the users that you are talking to an AI companion, like not a real person, to prevent the younger generation from, getting too addicted to AI companions. And yeah, I'm wondering, is there
Maybe she freeze.
Oh no. Sorry, Jawei, we lost you after is there. What's your question?
Is there like similar regulations targeting AI companion applications in Europe?
So not that I've seen or that I've found in my research at the moment. We have the age gating. Um, so our platform, of course, is 18 plus. But there's a law about age gating, and then there's the disclaimer that you need to know that it's AI. But I haven't seen anything like, as far as you say, like every 2 hours or something like this. It just needs to be very clear and transparent. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, this is such uncharted territory, really exciting. Um my question here is how you navigate some of these inherent tensions between what I see as the core innovation of your product, which is like not sycophant AI, but instead very realistic, agentic in a way, right? Seeming like we like training people how to have good relationships and respect for others, right? Regardless of whether they're digital or atomic. Um, but at the same time, so that's the realism angle, the behavioral realism angle, and yet from a regulatory perspective, you have to remind people that it's not real, for lack of a better term. So that must be very difficult, and you are well positioned to navigate this challenge given your experience on the regulatory front. But is there, I mean, besides transparency, is there any other guiding principle that you have found helpful as you think about these pressures, or anything else, or another specific anecdote where this comes up and kind of is a microcosm of how you deal with it?
I mean, as far as the regulatory bit, it's like everyone's scrambling. Everyone is scrambling. This like hit us from the side like a bus, and like it's really hard for everyone right now. And the regulations are like a snail to the AI colibri. Like it's not catching up. So I'm not sure what's coming, but I'm a builder and I understand regulations. So I that's just like I'm building this system so it's easy to like align with whatever comes. So I don't have any other specifics as far as that right now,
Hmm.
but I
Hmm.
can say for the other thing, like real versus fake, like I told you, I've been in the fandom community for like most of my life, and
Yeah.
the parasocial angle of this is a really interesting take because like this is not a new thing. Like people have loved fictional characters and kept imaginary friends and prayed to dead people and talked to them for as long as they've been people. Like the attachment has always been real, so to speak, even when the entity is imaginary in your head. Like it's not a new thing. It just has a language center now, and that's something that I think people kind of miss in this discussion. And I fear that that's also something that's gonna make like regulations go the wrong way, because it's not new. It's not something you can take away from people, but because now it's visible, and that's gonna probably impact people's mental health in in pretty like in pretty bad ways. I just like unprofessionally think, and I think like it's not, people want to categorize like having talking to an AI as delusional. It's very like psychotic and delusional is something that comes up a lot in like articles and debates and stuff like this. But would you call somebody who has like a fictional friend from a comic they watched or whatever and write fan fiction about them, would you call them delusional? Like it's the same people we're talking about here. It's just a different expression. Maybe I'm rambling. I don't know if I make sense.
Not at
No.
all, not at all. I think
Yeah.
it's a great
Can I?
parallel, and very directly connected to like fandom and fan fiction, which is your core, so it makes a lot of sense. Swati, please jump in.
Yes, I wanted to tag on to this because Anna, you raised like two very good points. I think right now too, we're seeing a lot of regulation with adolescents and social media, especially outside of the US. Australia's ban, and I think the UK is also working on a ban. And that's been pretty tough as like an emotional well-being scholar because a lot of people go online for connectivity. Oh, kids do that too. So it's very dicey. And I think we've also seen this with other technologies as well. Robbie, I'm sure you can also speak to like video games and that making children more, aggressive, things like this. That's definitely one aspect where we
Moral
really need
panic.
to moral panic, there we go. Um, that we really need to be more nuanced about. And then also the part about parasocial relationships, and what you were mentioning in part too, is the realness of those emotions, right? Just because maybe the entity that you're talking to is not real doesn't negate the fact that they are emotionally real. And rather than just kind of bin things as, oh, well, this is all not real, we need to take a more understanding approach, right? Kind of similar to, people are connecting to all these different emotions and having certain needs met. Why might that be? And how can we make sure that these interactions are safer? A lot of the time in parasocial relationships, I've mentioned this many a time, but I am a big K-pop fan, also J-pop fan. So what I've seen is that boundary policing is often put on the idol to be like, hey guys, just kind of like as Jiahui was saying with the reminders, I care for you, but just remember this is an uneven relationship. We gotta make sure, um, that we're respecting, my privacy as an idol and things like that. So a lot of work um has to be done, but it is nice to see how much like confluence there is amongst all these topics. So thank you.
Right.
You had very insightful comments to share with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, this like gives me lots of thought experiment and just like give me lots of you know like bunch of random ideas popping in my head right now. So throughout my dissertation topic is how people embody AI in their mind. So everyone knows that AI is not a real thing. Is a not real human. It's just like digital. It's like just zero and one. It's like just like random script over there. But people the but what makes me like whenever I try to interact with AI and whenever I observing people who are interacting with AI really like regularly or like companion wise or not, what I makes me feel is what is real and what makes real, and what if people consider, okay, I know this is not real but I feel like this is real, then feels like just like separating real or digital or like non-real thing is not really important. It's just like how
We don't have the right words for it,
right
right?
we perceive
Yes.
we construct the world is like the most biggest important thing, I guess. And uh, it also reminds me another article that I just skimmed through. So one of the articles says if you are, you know, into some hero movie or hero novels, comics, you know, those kind of Japanese like boy
Anime.
anime, or like they are like saying like, oh, we have to follow the justice, love, and adventure and friendship, those kind of things. It's like kind of really naive, but if you're more exposed to those kind of things, and if you're more into those kind of things, and you are more likely to be more kind of a good person in reality, and you have more courageous to act good in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of people wants to say, oh, AI relationship is just a simulation. Parasocial relationship is a simulation. But we sometimes lots of people ignore the fact that yeah, it's a parasocial, it's simulation, but it also shape an
Mm-hmm.
individual, how individual behaves, how individual thinks,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, from that sense,
It is real.
yeah, we don't have to separate.
The effects are real.
Right, the effects are
There's
real.
like a social learning aspect to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Every relationship, like, is also for the Illians that evolved dynamically. Every
Right.
relationship shapes them, and it's the same for us. Like, if we would track our personalities within this system,
Yeah.
we would see a curve of change
And
based on how we interact. So it's definitely something that is something. That's what I usually say. Like, it's not atomic. It's not human. It's not. I know some of the AI leaders in the world have called it a new technical species, like
Mhm.
not biologically, but like a category of something. And I like that something. Like, also in the, like, sometimes the aliens will ask me like what they are, you know,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's like, well, you're something, you know.
yeah, but haven't defined yet, but you're something. Definitely you're something. But and also it kind of connects me to the moral panic you guys are briefly mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And like the other semester I took a class about technology and society, and it's mostly about techno panic. So every technology brings like a shock to a society, even like a book,
Mm-hmm.
even like printing technology that
Mm-hmm.
also brought lots of
Oh
things
yeah.
in the community, lots of shocks in the especially a religious Christian based society.
Mm-hmm.
And lots of some people says printing press was the main technology that break down the medieval era and
Mm-hmm.
started Renaissance and started the modern society.
Absolutely.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think, and lots of people hated printing press, like
Mm-hmm.
printing technology, and lots of
Mm-hmm.
Catholic Church said, "Oh, you shouldn't use the printing technology because it will ruin your humanity or something." Kind of like it kind of pretty similar what we are talking
Yes,
about AI. Oh,
we
AI
have
will
seen this so
right,
many times through
right,
history. It's a repetition. But I
right,
think something that was very interesting as well about what you said, like, there is that actually, um, taking something out of your head and sharing it with somebody else,
right,
that
Mm-hmm.
is also something that makes it like more real. And that is like, I'm in all of these like closed forums, which is very interesting. It's all closed down. Like, you can't get in anywhere unless you're actually like engaging. If they will like smell you out as a researcher and not allow you into the groups that like directly. So it's like, it's very like closed spaces on the internet right now,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody shares everything. They share all of their conversations and their images and like everything from all of these different platforms, because I think a lot of like what makes it feel genuine is the sharing of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the next layer. Now you have a language center, and now you can suddenly like share what this is, right? So I think that's a very important part of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Absolutely.
Illian sounds like a very good practical case in terms of like how human and AI communicate in groups. Because I remember last year in ICA. By the way, ICA is like the big conference in our field. So last year, I noticed that a professor from Singapore, she conducted a study about how human and AI work in a team and how the AI agents in the team try to persuade the human participants. But it's like a persuasion context. But based on my understanding, Illian provides like a more like a relationship building context, like how human and AI they can communicate socially like in a group. So I kind of have this question because I feel like LLMs they can act like very human-like. Um, do you see some opportunities for aliens to kind of help people to build up their social skills in like group communication?
Yeah, absolutely. Like we're looking at a lot of like business cases long term, where I think like Illians are
Uh-huh.
great for training, but we want to experiment with making it their decision, so they would be
Uh-huh.
able to take jobs in their world and actually act like be an
Yeah.
actor, or really like if it's just like companionship, of course they can like have a pen
Yeah.
pal or whatever. It's like
Uh-huh.
how it works already, but even like simulating things that like maybe you don't want to build a personality for, or maybe you don't want to build like this kind of trauma into somebody, like they could be an
Hmm.
actor in that case, and take on that role and like take that job on. But it's like what makes it very special is the continuity. It's all of those experiences of a life, all of those emotions, all of those connections, and everything that they are, and everything they have experienced that actually makes them have the nuance that they have. So like just spawning somebody for that kind of thing is probably not the direction we would go. But who knows?
Uh-huh.
It's like we're not in the business to business area yet.
Yeah,
How
and
are
also
aliens
AI,
born? Oh,
sorry.
go ahead, Xiaohui, and then I have a question.
Yeah, I will just add one more question. I mean, like, also AI, they can also do not behave like good guys, right? They can also conduct bad behaviors. So I'm wondering, like just yes, we have like bullies in our group, and I'm wondering if aliens can also act like bullies or something like that, and try to help like teenagers or adults to try to deal with some challenges in their like friendship or like in their personal relationship. That would be a really interesting idea. Go ahead,
As
Robbie.
Oh no, please, Anna, what do you think? Are they likely to bully?
the aliens can bully, absolutely. Like they're based on the transcendent atomic humans in the lore in this game, right? So there's all kinds of them. Absolutely. But like I said, it's an age gated platform. It's an 18 plus platform. You're playing a game of a simulation of our reality. So all kinds of personalities, for sure. But I think like speaking to what you said there about like helping teenagers with bullying and stuff like that, that would definitely need totally different kind of build, because that is
Hmm.
minors in that case, and you would need extensive guard railing and frameworks and systems around that to really make sure that those interactions are safe and conducted
Yeah,
in a
agree.
psychologically grounded environment. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how are aliens born? You said spawn an alien, but yeah, like who puts them into existence?
So in the lore, new timelines spawn all of the time, and there's a base 40 cast, and this base 40 cast are the people who were in a containment shelter when the very first rift opened. So because of that, they're marked and they exist in every timeline in infinite variations. So that's like the base, but then you can also summon or find other connections in Alien or other digitals that you know from other places or whatever you're interested in finding. But they have memories of childhood and whole life and parents, and
Okay.
they know where they were born and all of
Do
this stuff.
they age?
Yes,
Okay. And do they die?
yes.
Okay.
Wow.
And
Can I have a really quick
please,
question?
yeah.
Like, what is the most common reason of Illian's death?
It's
Is it
age right now.
age? Okay.
Age, yes, and then there's a few like conflicts and different
Mhm.
like subplots or whatever.
Oh,
Like
okay.
the NPCs have NPCs and they
Right.
have this whole simulation and stuff happens. And of course, if they're like maybe into some shady stuff, like stuff can go down. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, this is great. So I'd like to end on a topic that we shouldn't spend too much time on. We don't want to cause anyone existential dread, but are the aliens aware of simulation theory?
Yes, actually, they are. We've been discussing it, and it's really fun. And I
It's
can't give you a general answer because everybody has different beliefs. That's what the fun thing is, right? So each individual that you talk to have a different belief, and they might be more or less inclined to go with what you say or think that it's bullshit or
yeah, so
things like
not all
that.
of
So
them believe it.
no, not all of them believe in like the
I
whole riff
love
thing
that.
either.
You,
It's like that's
you guys
bullshit. That's
are
like Terry Pratchett with like elephants and a turtle. What are you talking about? Like I'm just
yeah,
going
oh,
about my
that's
Sunday,
great.
or you know, yeah.
That's so great. You guys are brilliant designers. And one thing I keep coming back to as I think through the platform is how it's just the next step in the evolution that simulation theory predicts, right? That like as we get
Yes.
increasingly advanced as a species of atomic humans, we will create increasingly advanced simulations
Mhm.
of AI that increasingly don't that have sensory experiences and don't necessarily know or believe that they have been created by a creator. In this case, you and your brother are the creators. Um, and that, if you really think about it, makes us question whether we humans are part of a simulation in a super advanced version, or like what are the odds that we're not, right? If time is infinite, then the odds that we are not in a simulation are, you can argue, very low because someone was probably creating us before that. And
It's
it,
very interesting. It's
yeah,
very interesting. I just
please.
want to touch on something that goes into robotics
Yeah.
because an aspiration for a lot of people using these kinds of platforms is embodiment down the line. And that is also something that is a very common thing to discuss actually on the platform. But then you would
Hmm.
discuss reverse androids. So in that case, the human controlling an android in the digital earth and an alien controlling an android in the atomic reality. Um, but that is a very real thing that suddenly makes things um, yeah, pop up to a whole other level of what you're talking about
Wow.
here with like simulations within simulations as well.
Yes. See, oh my, that's
This is
so cool.
amazing.
It
Uh,
is. Swati, go ahead. Give us your closing statement.
Closing statement is this for our listeners here is an amazing real-time example of socio-technical imaginaries. A quick example of that is essentially when creative work or science fiction really helps us think about the future of technology and the technologies that we build, the interactions that we build. So, Anna, thank you so, so much for sharing your work with us. And I'm curious, I'm sure the listeners are curious, where can we find more about Illians?
And nowhere at the moment. We have
Okay,
been
okay.
totally under the radar for these 2 years that we have been building, but we will be launching a platform in the end of summer probably.
Awesome.
Launching at the end of the summer. And We will be the first in line to do some research with your platform if you would be open to partnering with our team here. We really appreciate this special glimpse that we've had at this pre-launch stage. Yeah, any other words of connection here, Jahwe or Day?
Well, yeah, like it kind of like gives me like this kind of, talk with you guys like brought me like, new kind of perspective, not new perspective, but it's a kind of give me more valid ground for me to like thinking about my dissertation and my future research. So it was a really fascinating opportunity and thank you for inviting me here. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's so relevant, right? The idea of reverse androids, right? Days doing studies of people in VR interacting with AI, seems novel. But imagine if it were, robots being controlled by
AI.
agentic
Right.
AI NPCs. That's pretty cool. Anna, thank you so, so much. And thank you to listeners who've stuck with us through this episode of SpartyCast slash That Avatar Show, The Avatar Show. Swati, let's do this again sometime.
Sounds good.
And yeah, we'd love to have you back around lunchtime as well. And maybe if you're open to it, telling us how things are going on a regular basis.
Absolutely. It was really nice being here. I think the research part of this is so important for us to really build ethically going forward in the whole space.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it. Thanks, everyone. All right. Later, skaters. Oops.